Spider-Man is a fan-favorite superhero. We've all grown up with Spider-Man, whether it is thanks to Tobey Maguire's movies or Andrew Garfield's. But there is one thing that we never find the movie focus on when we watch them. It is the family ties of Peter Parker. So in today's video, we will learn about all the familial relationships that Peter has, which helped him become the way he is. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Peter Parker 1 and Parker. When it comes to Peter Parker the First and Anne Parker, we do not get a lot of details about them, except that when their older son Benjamin was old, a small congratulatory post was shared on the Daily Bugle. Except this, not much is known about the grandparents of Spider-Man. Richard Parker and Mary Parker. We enjoy learning about our favorite superheroes' parents, so you can imagine how excited we were when we finally heard the story of Richard and Mary Parker in the Untold Tales of Spider-Man. Here we learn that Richard Parker, who is the younger brother of Benjamin Parker, was recruited into the CIA by Nick Fury himself. While working as an agent, he met Mary Fitzpatrick, whom he fell in love with. Together they had two kids, Peter and Theresa. Theresa was born in secret, and everybody assumed that the couple only had Peter. They were the ones who found out about Master Matrix, the life model decoy that was made to control every other life model decoy. There was a tech under Hydra which the Parkers found and put back. Mary truly believed that Master Matrix was alive and she wanted S.H.I.E.L.D. to free it. When they welcomed Pete into their life, they decided to go on missions with Peter under the care of his Uncle Ben and Aunt May. One such mission led to the Parkers infiltrating the organization led by the communist Red Skull. Everything was going well until their cover was blown, and Red Skull learned that they were, in fact, double agents. This led to Red Skull asking the Finisher to kill them both, and this is how Peter Parker ended up losing his parents. However, as Uncle Ben and Aunt May quickly took on the role of his parents, Peter had quite the upbringing.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Ben Parker. When it comes to Peter's character as a person, a huge influence in his life was his Uncle Ben. Benjamin Parker was the older son of Peter Parker the First and Anne Parker. During the Great Depression, he was working as a barker, and he was very attached to Maybelline Riley. But he never pursued her for a relationship because May really wanted a life with someone who could give her financial stability, and that was something that Ben couldn't. When May was dating Johnny Jerome, Ben did not like it because he knew Johnny was a bad person for May. However, when Jerome proposed to May, he decided that this was enough because Jerome had literally robbed a jewelry store before this. This particular incident changed the way May looked at her life, and she decided to pursue Ben, who was far more reliable as a man to live with. Their relationships had their ups and downs, but eventually they got married. Sadly, they could not have a baby due to May's health issues. This space in their relationship was filled whenever Ben's brother Richard, who was an agent, went on missions. Ben and May used to take care of Peter, and when Richard and Mary were killed, they became Peter's surrogate parents. Ben stepped up to be Peter's father figure instantly, even though at first May was reluctant. However, their marriage was strengthened thanks to Peter, and they were a family. When Peter first became Spider-Man, he thought that burglars were not his responsibility, which led him to not helping the police capture a man. The event of him letting go of the burglar in the end came back to bite him in the ass, because he ended up shooting Uncle Ben dead. Uncle Ben's words, "With great power comes great responsibility," and his death truly shaped the way Peter looked at his responsibility as a superhero. As comic book fans who have often seen dead characters come back, it is rather sad that we never see Uncle Ben come back. May Parker Jameson. Now let's be honest, the rock in Peter's life has always been Aunt May. She is a strong woman who has inspired many comic book fans. She had a life of struggle since she was a child. Born as Maybelle Riley, Aunt May was raised in a family that always argued over money. Her father abandoned them, and her mother blamed her for it all her life. Ben Parker was a barker from Coney Island whom Maybelle knew. At first, their relationship was that of just friends. Ben warned May about her boyfriend Johnny Jerome. Johnny spoiled May a lot, and May was very much in love with him until Jerome decided to take a jewelry store hostage. This was when her eyes opened. Jerome even threatened to kill Ben at one point. However, when May got out of this toxic relationship, Ben was the one who she could lean on, the one she could depend on. This led to them falling in love and eventually getting together. They did not have a perfect relationship, They broke up several times. However, there was something between them that was worth fighting for, and eventually they got married. They decided to start a family, but when May suffered a miscarriage, they learned that May had a cardiac anomaly. As a result, they never tried to have another child. When Peter came into their care, May was at first extremely reluctant. She was dealing with a trauma from her parents' marriage and assumed that the entry of Peter into their life was a sign that their marriage was about to fall apart. However, Peter ended up strengthening their relationship, and May stepped up as the sole provider when Ben passed away. May was not aware of her nephew's secret identity, and the web-slinging vigilante was not someone she wanted her nephew to interact with. In fact, she did not want her nephew to take the job as a photographer in the first place. However, her views changed as time went by, and Aunt May truly shaped Peter into the Peter we all know and love. Theresa Parker. When it comes to Peter, we always assumed he was an only child of Richard and Mary, but as life would have it, that may not have been the case. Theresa Parker, whose origin is kept unknown for the most part, is relieved to be the daughter of Richard and Mary Parker. She was born in secret, and unlike Peter, who was sent to be with his uncle, Theresa was sent for adoption. Several years had passed and Theresa was recruited by Nick Fury for the CIA. For a better part of her life, she assumed that her parentage, that is, her being the daughter of Richard and Mary, was something that was a result of Mentallo's manipulation. This was made worse when Chameleon and Finisher claimed that they had seen her grow up in an academy for sleeper agents, making Theresa think that she was never the daughter of the real Parkers, and instead, the Parkers she knew as her parents were imposters. When Theresa entered Peter's life, she told him that he was her brother after saving him from a mysterious gunman. She told him that they were both being targeted and they had to flee together. This led to the siblings on an adventure that brought them together. At one point, we see Peter had gotten a DNA test done on Theresa, and based on how he acted, it seems to be Theresa is indeed his sister. However, Theresa never gets to know about her true identity. This is her whole story arc, and by the end of it, when she is given the choice of knowing her origins for certain in exchange for her getting the clairvoyant for the Finisher, Theresa refuses and embraces the uncertainty of her life and decides to avenge Richard and Mary either way, even though she does not know whether or not they are her parents. Mary Jane Watson Parker. Mary Jane Watson was the second daughter of Philip and Madeline Watson. She had grown up in a broken home where they had to shift a lot thanks to her dad's jobs, and eventually, because her mother could not find a place to live after her dad hit Gail, her mother decided to leave with the two sisters. Mary Jane was very fond of her Aunt Anna, who was in Queens, New York. Aunt Anna was friends with Mabel Parker, and Mary Jane knew about Peter. On the night of Uncle Ben's murder, Mary Jane saw Peter running down the street to his home, only for Spider-Man to appear after a few seconds from the upstairs window. With this, Mary Jane came to the conclusion that Peter was indeed Spider-Man, but she kept this information a secret, and this was one of the reasons why she did not want to pursue a relationship with Peter, because she did not wish to be neglected by him owing to his hero duties. Mary Jane finally met Peter face to face after she had started to pursue her dreams, and when Peter introduced her to his college friends, this led to the complicated love rectangle between Osborn, Peter, Watson and Stacy. At first, Mary Jane was in a relationship with Harry Osborn, but that relationship ended when Mary Jane noticed how unstable Harry was becoming after his father's death. This drove her into Peter's arms as the two friends found comfort in each other's arms, and soon enough, the romance of a lifetime blossomed between them. Mary Jane and Peter went through a lot of ups and downs because of Peter's secret identity as Spider-Man. However, in the end, they persevered. Master Matrix. Peter Parker has had kids with Mary Jane, but he also had a kid with Deadpool. Master Matrix is the adopted child of Spidey and Deadpool. The Master Matrix is a life model decoy which was originally made by Hydra. He was reassembled by Richard and May Parker under the watchful eyes of S.H.I.E.L.D. Master Matrix was originally made to control other LMDs, but May thought that he was alive, which led to him being set free by S.H.I.E.L.D. This android was kept in stasis for a really long time until Chameleon activated various LMDs for his Project Doppelganger for them to commit crimes on his behalf. The LMDs woke Master Matrix up, and together with a horde of LMDs, Master Matrix was undefeatable. He swore to kill all humanity and disappeared with his army of LMDs. When Peter was looking for him, he found Master Matrix at Richard and May's grave. He said that he did not want to wipe off humanity and instead wanted to be kind and peaceful like the Parkers had taught him. This led to a fight where Master Matrix tried to get all LMDs together to rise up against Chameleon, and finally Chameleon was defeated by Deadpool, crushing the Galactus LMD. Once that was done, Spidey and Deadpool both decided to be the ones to teach Master Matrix to be a better man. Master Matrix helped Deadpool and Spider-Man defeat the Wrecking Crew. In doing so, he realized how big of a threat he was and willingly locked himself in Area 14. He insisted he wanted to stay there for the sake of safety. He becomes a sort of like the parent of the children, guardian robots of that area, and even throws a party for them. He later helped Spider-Man and Deadpool to put Manipulator in jail, and he became friends with Mary Jane Watson when they met at the movie set where he worked as the director of photography. Philip Watson. One of the biggest things that affected Mary Jane throughout her life was her family. Growing up, Mary Jane had to see her mother struggle at the hands of her father, Philip. But what led to Philip being this way? Philip and Madeline got married right after finishing college. At first, they were a happy couple and they welcomed 2 daughters into the world. However, things took a turn. Philip was a college professor, but he always wanted to be a writer. However, writing does not come that easily to everyone, and for Philip, it was sadly one of those cases. His inability to follow his dreams to become a writer made him extremely angry. However, instead of dealing with his failure and subsequent rage in a healthy way, Philip decided to take it out on his family. He screamed at Madeline and at one point hit Gail for the costs of her dance lessons. This was the last straw for Madeline, and she left with the 2 kids. Instead of realizing his fault, Philip decided to file a complaint against Madeline on the grounds of desertion, which soured the relationship even more, and then they cut ties. Years went by, and Philip had no idea about his daughters. That was until when he was looking to steal a manuscript. Realizing he would not be able to do it himself, he got in touch with Gail, who was a struggling single mother herself. Gail agreed, but she was unable to steal it. She got caught and arrested. Hearing her sister's predicament, Mary Jane showed up and she met with her father after years. Philip asked Mary Jane to steal the manuscript for him, and this time it was a success. While talking about all of this, Philip disclosed his involvement in the initial attempt to steal this manuscript and his role in getting Gail arrested. This was overheard by a detective and Philip was arrested for his crimes. After he served his time, Philip came out of the jail seemingly a new man. He gave up on his dream of writing his own novel and instead focusing on writing articles for a newspaper. When Mary Jane met him again, she noticed a picture of her mother on his table. This led to them having a heart-to-heart conversation where Philip confessed that he felt guilty for treating the family the way he did. He had always loved Madeline and he always regretted how he had treated her and the kids. The conversation was what brought Mary Jane and Philip closer, and Mary Jane was finally able to let go of her rage against her father and work on her daddy issues. Madeline Watson. When you look at Mary Jane's life, you realize that there are a lot of issues that she had to face growing up. Her family life was not the healthiest, and there was quite a bit of unresolved trauma there, which she brought with her when she got into a relationship with Peter. Her mother, Madeline, was a victim of an abusive marriage. Madeline Watson always wanted to be an actress. However, when she married Philip, she had to give up on all those dreams. Philip was not the man he showed himself to be, and this marriage ended up trapping Madeline completely. She had verbal abuse thrown her way day in and day out, and when Philip hit Gail over her dance lessons, Madeline decided to move out for the safety of her children. She did not have a place to stay for a really long time, so she kept moving from one relative's place to another until she decided to have a home with Frank, her cousin. This brought some sense of permanency in her life, which was a break that she truly deserved. But her health deteriorated soon after. Soon enough, the 2 Watson sisters had to lose their mother owing to her failing health and bad heart. Gail Watson Burns. As Peter's lifelong partner ends up being Mary Jane Watson, her older sister also ends up playing a role in their life. Gail is the older sister of Mary Jane, and she had quite similar dreams to Mary Jane. She also wanted to be a dancer, just like her sister and their mother. However, when it came to Gail, that dream remained unfulfilled. Like a lot of us, Gail had to choose between her dream and reality, and she chose the reality no matter how bleak it was. Unlike Mary Jane, who kept following her dreams, Gail gave up on that dream and decided to marry her high school boyfriend, Timothy Burns, once they were out of high school. To support her husband, Gail got a job while Timmy studied law. This was going all right until Gail got pregnant with their first child. Timmy was 19 and still in school. The parental responsibilities affect Timmy and his grades. This led to a lot of tension between the couple, which led to Timmy leaving Gail when she was pregnant with their second child. Gail ended up becoming a single mother, and understandably, she resented it whenever she saw Mary Jane and her relationship with Peter Parker. Gail clearly compared their lives, and Gail hated that her sister never gave up on her dreams while she did. However, later the two sisters reconciled and Gail forgave her, which definitely took a load off of Mary Jane's shoulders. Marvelous verdict. Peter Parker was shaped to be this way thanks to the way he was brought up and the people he surrounded himself with. Peter shared one thing in common with all these characters: the mental strength to persevere. The Spider-Man comics truly show you the good, the bad, and the ugly of family dynamics and how it can have a long-lasting impact on a character in a very comprehensive way. And we love that. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.